Welcome back. Call for Code uses hundreds of thousands of developers to create and also deploy applications powered by open source technology that can tackle some of the world's biggest challenges. And with me is Daniel Krook. He's the Chief Technology Officer for Call for Code. So Daniel, welcome. And this is an IBM program, right? So explain what Call for Code is all about.
Sure. Thanks for having me, Jane. So Call for Code is a program we started in 2018. It's a multi-year initiative with David Clark Cause as the founder, IBM as the founding partner, the United Nations Human Rights, and the Linux Foundation are part of the initiative as well. And we have a multi-month yearly competition, and we just wrapped the third year of that. Now, in general, Call for Code, what it does is we take on some of the world's greatest challenges, as you mentioned. And what we do as IBM and the Linux Foundation is we connect experts in those particular areas with technology that can make a difference, and we help them live on a sustainable open source project.
Okay, very interesting. So let's talk about some of these projects. So the big winner was Agroly. Am I saying it right? So this is an agricultural app, right? Explain to me what they do.
Yeah, so Agroly, Agricultural Ally, is a team of developers that met at Pace University. They come from Mongolia, from Taiwan, from India, and from Brazil. And the application, what it does, it takes some advanced IBM data science around predictive models using weather company data and future projected outcomes to help small farmers, particularly those in Mongolia to start and Brazil later, to help make better decisions about what to plant and when, and how to water, irrigate, things like that. And it also connects them with a community of other farmers to share information and potential funding sources. So an amazing application that boils down some of the complex open source and IBM technologies into an easy to use mobile app.
And this should help in those particular countries solve some nutrition problems, some hunger problems, just make farming more efficient and maybe profitable for the farmer as well.
Right, to make better decisions and have better outcomes, using the information that's out there and how it's changing due to climate change.
Okay. Well, and I noticed climate change was a big theme among a lot of the winners. So that has been an area of a lot of interest. And you mentioned you're working with the UN. So that was been a particular focus this year, climate change?
Right. So the first 2 years of Call for Code, 2018 and 2019, we focused on disaster resiliency, natural disasters, preparing for them, responding to them. We opened the scope to climate change, which is more of the root cause of many of these disasters. So we launched with climate change the main focus at the beginning of 2020, but we quickly added a second track for the pandemic, so COVID-19. So we ended up with 2 winners this year in our top 5, including the top winner, focused on climate change. And then 3 of the other finalists were focused on the social and business aspects of the pandemic.
Okay, and a huge, huge issue, of course. SafeQ is one of those, right? So what do they do?
So SafeQ comes from a developer in California. He created an application for managing virtual lines. So instead of going up to, for example, a large box store and waiting 6 feet apart out in whatever inclement weather, once you've driven into the parking lot, essentially you can enter yourself into line and just wait until you're called. So this helps the store owner manage how many people are in the store and helps folks better leverage their time, stay socially distanced while they're waiting to go inside. And it can go from retail to even voter advocacy. You've seen a lot of lines around voting, as well as disaster relief. So folks need to get some resources. There's still wildfires, but you also need to make sure when you go to a relief center, you're socially distanced. So lots of great ways to use that. And we've tested that in the field with a small business named Waffle Cabin in a location in Long Beach to ensure that it can be used by organizations of any size.
Okay, and I know Waffle Cabin, so I've been in a ski resort with a Waffle Cabin, so it's great when you're out in the cold. Business Buddy, that is another app. What does that one do?
So that one also helps out small businesses. It comes from a set of students at the University of Sydney in Australia. And what it does, it helps a business through a conversational bot understand what sort of programs might be available to them based on some information about their business, what programs they qualify for, with the goal of helping them make it through the pandemic in better shape.
And School Listed, what about that one?
Yeah, so School Listed takes on remote education, comes from a developer, a mother of 3 in North Carolina, and it's a way to consolidate information, what and when around the school assignments. I have a 9-year-old son myself. Even having one child, it's hard to keep on track of what's due when and what classes his peers are in, and just basically what he needs to achieve to have education as normal as possible. So great application there.
Yeah. And then another big issue this year, of course, has been racial justice. And there were some apps, some developers that have worked on this as well. Can you kind of give me a sense of what kind of things they were working on?
Sure. So Call for Code used to just have the multi-month yearly competition, but now it also has this concept of spot challenges. So as challenges come up with the Call for Code framework, we can create a way for people to create open source sustainable solutions around those issues. And Call for Code for Racial Justice actually comes from the Black community inside of IBM and Red Hat. And it was a way for developers to take their skills and apply them to the world at large. So over the past few months, those developers have been creating solutions using data science, using large data sets, and providing and distilling ways to better understand, for example, bias in open sentencing, or understand the impact of potential new legislation. So we've just open sourced 5 of those projects today, which you can find through developer.ibm.com/call-for-code.
When you're looking at the apps, what are you looking for? I mean, we've talked about they address challenges. I mean, is there kind of ease of use for non-technical people? What kind of criteria do you look at?
Yeah, so the general 4 touchstones that we use, it depends on the challenge we're looking at. But number 1 is it solving a real world problem effectively and efficiently? Is it complete? Is it something that can get to work right away?
Mm-hmm.
Is it user friendly? If someone's under a lot of stress, is it really evident how this thing can work for them? And finally, is it really creative or innovative? So does it take a brand new 10 times better approach maybe to an intractable problem?
Okay.
So we weigh those 4 criteria equally. So some score better on some criteria than others.
Right. And then what's next for these apps? So they will take this cash award that they got from IBM and develop and market, and what's the next step for them?
Yeah, so each of the finalists, as well as some of the other promising applications, benefit from meeting with the Linux Foundation to help them build open source communities around the projects.
Mm-hmm.
So we want these to be sustainable, used by the community, and folks can contribute back to them. But with the top applications, top 5 global applications, the next step is actually for us to work for the winner. So not only did they win $200,000 in cash prize, we're going to work with them to understand what their next short, medium, and long-term goals are, and assemble an IBM team of volunteers, our IBM Service Corps, to help them deliver on those goals. So whether it's hardware help that they need, software development, user experience, business development, we'll work with the Agroly team and test out their application virtually or potentially on the ground in Mongolia or Brazil in 2021.
Very interesting. Okay, thank you so much, Daniel, for joining and explaining the program.
Great. Well, thank you for having me, Jane.